कर्म 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 कर्म, आखिर ये कर्म है क्या? What is this karma? My friends, karma can mean more than one thing. Karma can mean action. Karma can mean action and reaction. Karma can also mean the chain of action and reaction, the endless cycle which keeps you bound to this material plane for endless life. It keeps you bound to birth, death, old age, and disease, that cycle of birth and death. So, my friends, it is a scary word, believe me. So, let's find out what Gita, Bhagavad Gita, has to say about karma. In the chapter 3, we will find out. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to another section, episode of Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are now on the third chapter, Karma Yoga. So the second chapter we finished, and the second chapter covered a whole lot of topics ranging from Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, the qualities of Sthita Prajna, and now in the second chapter, in verse number 49, Lord Krishna said one particular verse, Durena Hyavaram Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, stay away from all abominable activities with Buddhi Yoga. Now, Arjuna interpreted this differently. Arjuna thought that Buddhi Yoga is equal to Jnana Yoga, and Krishna is asking Arjuna to be a Jnana Yogi and stay away from all abominable actions, which in Arjuna's mind was the war. According to Arjuna, the abominable action would be the war. So Arjuna is thinking, so why am I fighting? I should be a Jnana Yogi. I should go to the forest and meditate, or go to the library and read books. So the third chapter begins with Arjuna's question. Verse number 1 and 2 is Arjuna's question, seeking clarification on this. And then verse number 3 to 9 is Lord Krishna giving a discourse on Nishkam Karma Yoga. And verse 10 to 17, it's Lord Krishna speaking verse number 10 to 16 is about Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. So let's start with this section. So this is an overview of the third chapter. As I said, we will be doing section 1, 2, and 3. And so the section 1 is Arjuna's question, section 2, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and section 3, from Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. Okay, verse 3.1 to 2. Arjuna asked if buddhi is better than karma, and then why are you asking me to do karma? Arjuna uvacha jyayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Here, Arjuna thought that buddhi or jnana and karma and action are incompatible. So, in Arjuna's mind, if one chooses buddhi or jnana, then that person does not have to do any work. So he thinks both cannot go together. So Krishna clarifies that yes, both can go together. And the clue here is from 2.49 of the previous chapter, where Lord Krishna speaks about Durena Avaram Karma. Stay away from abominable activities, Arjuna. In the second chapter, Lord Krishna said that. So Arjuna thinks that they both cannot go together. He can either fight and be in doing karma, or he can just retire from fighting and just pursue jnana. And that's a popular misconception people have, that you can either be in the world or you can be out of the world, meaning you can just be a renunciate. But that's not the message of Gita. Verse number 3.2. Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vad nishchitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So Arjuna says, I'm bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Tell me clearly which path should I follow. Should I follow the path of jnana or the path of karma? So let's see what Lord Krishna has to say. Now this section from 3.3 to 9, as I said, is all about Nishkam Karma Yoga. And basically the gist of this section is that Lord Krishna says that Nishkam Karma Yoga is better suited for Arjuna and not the path of Jnana Yoga. Indirectly, Lord Krishna is saying Arjuna is not in that platform of purity to pursue Jnana Yoga. So basically, the prescribed duties are given in Vedas. For everyone is expected to do their prescribed duty, and when you do those duties, when you do your karma, you get purified, and after purification you are eligible to pursue jnana. So these prescribed duties or our karma is meant for our purification. So we cannot skip that part and jump directly into Jnana Yoga. So the gist of this section is that liberation or bondage depends not on action, but the consciousness behind the action. And also, one should not give up activity, but one should give up the attachment to the results of those activities. So let's read this verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvidha Nishta Pura Prokta Maya Nakha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. There are two types of people, Jnana Yogis who renounce work and Karma Yogis who do their prescribed work. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I've already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, which is the Jnana Yogi, and others by devotional service, or the Buddhi Yogi or Nishkam Karma Yogi. So let's move on to the next verse. Okay, so in this verse, Lord says premature renunciation is not good. Na karmanam anarambhan naishkarmyam purushosnute na cha sanyasya na deva siddhim samadhigacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So sannyas can only be taken when one becomes purified by doing one's prescribed duty. As I said, you cannot jump into sannyas. You have to do your prescribed duty and become purified, and then you can take sannyas. or the renounced order of life. Because just by not doing work, one cannot be free from the reaction. In the later on verses, Lord Krishna will say that nobody can be inactive. Even if you're not doing work, you are still doing something. So everyone is expected to do their work. You cannot not do the work just because you think if I don't do anything, I won't get any reaction to because the whole cycle of birth and death is all about action and reaction. So somebody can think, if I don't do anything, I will not get the reaction. No, it doesn't work like that. Even if you don't do anything, you are still existing. You're breathing. You are using the land to walk. You are using the body which is given by Lord. So you're using things. You're still working. So you have to pay back. And just by taking sannyas without actually being purified, you cannot attain perfection. The next verse, 3.5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashak karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. In other words, inaction is unnatural. The nature of the soul is to be constantly active. So you cannot say that, I don't want any action reaction cycle, so I'm not going to do any work. It doesn't work like that. As I said, even if you're not doing anything, you are still doing something. Verse 3.6. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimodhatma mithyacharas uchyate. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on the sense object, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So here the point is, externally you can renounce things and you can be like a sannyasi wearing saffron robes, but internally, if you are not purified, you would be still thinking and contemplating about those sense objects which you have renounced externally. So what is more important is the internal purification, not the external dress that you're wearing. You can be wearing saffron or you can be a householder, doesn't matter. What's more important is your consciousness, your thoughts. So in the picture you can see this person is wearing a sannyasi's cloth, but his mind is dwelling on the sense object. So such a person is a pretender, a mithyachari. On the other hand, a person, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousnness without attachment, he is by far superior. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya arjuna karmendriyaihi karma yogam asakta savishishyate. So it's better that you do whatever you're doing, your prescribed duty, and continue doing those duty. Sincerely try to engage your senses in Lord service. Such a person is much better than a person who is externally renounced but still not internally renounced. Verse 3.8. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajayo hyakarmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhet akarmana perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So here Lord Krishna is saying you cannot be inactive, because if you have to maintain your body, you have to eat food, you have to sleep, you have to do some action. You can't be completely inactive. You have to breathe. So it's better you perform your prescribed duty and become purified than just, externally renouncing anything. Verse 3.9. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, the work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So, how do you work and not be bound? The secret is do your work for Vishnu, and that's the only way to avoid bondage, or work in Krishna consciousness. All other work which is not Krishna conscious results in bondage. You are bound by the work, by the action-reaction cycle. But when you work in Krishna consciousness for the pleasure of Krishna, you are not bound. It liberates you. So we are in the next section of third chapter, 3.10 to 3.16 verses. It's from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. What's the difference between Karma Kand and Karma Yoga? Well, Karma Kand is, we've covered this in the second chapter, but just a recap. Karma Kand is when you do your prescribed duty, expecting a result for your personal enjoyment. Karma Kand is when you're doing your prescribed duty, you with an intention of getting some benefit personally. So in today's world, everybody is doing karma kand, 99%. While karma yoga is you're doing your prescribed duty, but with no expectation of anything out of it for your personal benefit. So karma yoga is you're doing it as service to the Lord. So verse number 3.10. Sahayajna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishvatvam eshavottvishta kamadu. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices of Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So when Lord Krishna made this world, he made it in such a way that people, in order to get material happiness and prosperity, have to perform yajna or sacrifice. When they perform the yajna or sacrifice, the demigods, who are the administrators of the material world, get happy. And then they provide the humans with all the necessities that they want for material prosperity. So that is how Lord has designed the world. So when you say yajna, it is basically your prescribed duty. Somebody can be a farmer, somebody can be a teacher, somebody can be a priest. When they do their prescribed duty, they are doing yajna. So yajna doesn't necessarily mean the yajna, the fire sacrifice. It means your prescribed duty. Verse number 3.11. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu yaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreya param avapsyatha. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifice, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. So this verse basically talks about cooperation between men and demigods. So as I said, when you do your prescribed duty, you're satisfying the demigods, who in turn will provide you with all the necessities for your life. 3.12. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dasyante yajna bhavita tairdattan apradayebhyo yo bhunte stena eva saha. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna or sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gift without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So Lord Krishna makes it very clear who is a thief. See, Lord has provided us with everything that we need, the rains, the sun, the crops, the trees, the vegetation, the land, the rivers, everything that we need is there, provided by the Lord, free of cost. So when we are taking so much of Lord's bounty, it's but natural that it's our dharma, it's our duty to give it back, to offer it to the Lord. So when you take food from nature, if you just eat it for your sense pleasure, you are a thief. So the right way to do it is you take the food and you offer it to Krishna, and that food becomes sanctified, it becomes a prasadam, and then you eat it. That way you will not be bound by the sinful reaction, because you're taking so much from nature for free. It's without offering to God, it becomes a sin. So Lord Krishna calls these people who do not return it to the demigods or Lord Krishna as thief. Stena, the word is stena, it means a thief. And verse number 13, Yajna Shishtashinas Santo Munchante Sarvakil Vishaihi Bhunjate Te Tvagam Papa Ye Pachantyatma Karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So what is the karma of food? Before eating food, we have to offer it to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is like the root of a tree, and demigods are like branches. So we don't have to offer individually to the demigods. Like you don't put water individually on the branches or leaves. You just put water on the root of the tree, and the full tree gets nourished. Similarly, we don't have to offer anything individually to the demigods. You just have to offer whatever you get in life, be it food, be it clothing, whatever you are receiving, you first offer it to Lord Krishna and then you consume it. That way you will become free of sins. Those who do not offer anything to Lord, they are thieves and they get sinful reaction for this. So this is a cycle of sacrifice. Let's see, this is two verses combined, 14 and 15. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava यज्ञात् भवन्ति पर्जन्यो यज्ञ कर्म समुद्भवा कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्मा नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna or sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in the acts of sacrifice. So here you can see the cycle of sacrifice. So the Supreme Lord Krishna has given Vedas. Lord Krishna spoke the Vedas to Lord Brahma, who has compiled it, and he has put the prescribed action for human beings as karma in the Vedas. The human beings, after learning from the Vedas what the prescribed duties are, will do their prescribed duty, which, as I said, is the yajna. And when you do the prescribed duties, the demigods, being satisfied, will provide you parjanya, the rain clouds, and the rains will bring grains, anna, and living beings will take the anna and cook it and offer it as bhoga to the Supreme Lord. So that finishes the cycle, completes the cycle. When you offer bhoga to the Supreme Lord Krishna, all the demigods are satisfied. So that's a cycle of sacrifice. And finally, the last verse for today. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah agayurindriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. So whatever we get from nature for free, you're not to enjoy it personally, because that will be a sinful life. You have to offer everything to Lord Krishna and then consume it. Analogy or an example in this is that when a father buys some sweets or chocolates and gives it to the child, before, while the child is eating, the child will offer it to the dad, and the father feels happy. Though it's the father who bought it, but still the act of the child giving it to the father makes the father happy. So like that, Lord Krishna has given us everything. It is our duty to offer it to the Lord first before we consume it. So that will finish this section. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, you can put it down below in the comments. Hare Krishna.